Good evening, and welcome to the Planning Commission of the City of Moreno Valley. I now call this meeting to order on July 8th, 2021 at 7 p.m. May we have the roll call, please?
Commissioner Bergers,
Here.
Commissioner
Here.
Vice Chair DeJeanette,
Here.
Chairperson Korzick.
Present. Thank you. We will now have the Pledge of Allegiance, which will be led by Commissioner Bergers.
Please stand. Put your hand over your heart and let's repeat. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible,
With liberty and justice for all. Thank you, Commissioner Bergers. We're now going to move to the approval of the agenda. Do we have any corrections that need to be made on these before we move ahead? I do have one typo. Sorry. On the minutes for the meeting. Where is it? Okay, you know what? I think my page is, am I going on to the minutes now? Or do I have to, no? Oh, yeah, okay, never mind, duh, okay. All right, let's go and move the approval of the agenda. Do we have a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve
Okay, do we have a second?
Second.
May we have a vote, please?
Oh, we get to do it.
Oh, we can, oh.
Oh.
Excellent. Okay, we got to do that electronically. That's
Oh,
great.
Back to this.
We're back to this.
I'm not
And
used to it.
it looks like the motion is approved, 4-0. Thank you very much. It's going to make our life so much easier. And yours also. Next, we're going to move to the public comments procedure. Any person wishing to address the commission on any matter, either under public comment section of the agenda or schedule items or public hearings, must fill out a request to speak form available at the door. The completed form must be submitted to the secretary prior to the agenda item being called by the chairperson. In speaking to the commission, members of the public may be limited to 3 minutes per person, except for the applicant for entitlement. The commission may establish an overall time limit for comments on a particular agenda item. Members of the public must direct the questions to the chairperson of the commission and not to any other members of the commission, the applicant, the staff, or the audience. Public comments, do we have any speakers for any items not on the agenda?
No, we do not.
Thank you. Now we will move on to the consent calendar. The next item on the agenda is the approval of the consent calendar. All items listed under the consent calendar are considered to be routine and non-controversial and may be enacted by one motion unless a member of the commission requests that an item be removed for separate action. Items withdrawn for report or discussion will be heard after the public hearing items. Questions or comments from the public on a consent calendar matter are limited to 3 minutes per individual and must pertain to the subject under consideration. And
I'll make a motion to approve the consent calendar as presented.
which I did want to make a change on one of the minutes. Which is part of item 2 of the May 27th. There is just a little bit of a clerical error on page 15. When it shows the vote on that item, it shows the vote was 3-0, and it actually was 3-1. If you read down, one person did vote against. So it's just a minor correction. Okay?
I'll modify my motion to approve the consent calendar as modified to make the corrections as requested by Chairperson Korzick.
Thank you. May we have a second?
Second.
Okay, let's call for the vote. Excellent. Okay, 4-0. We move ahead. The next item on the agenda is non-public hearing items, and at this time, we have no items for discussion. Now we're going to move on to our public hearing items. Item number 1. Let's have the staff report, please.
Madam Chair, this item will be presented by Associate Planner Jeff Bradshaw.
Thank you. Good evening, Chair Corsick and members of the Planning Commission. My name is Jeff Bradshaw. I'm the Associate Planner assigned to this application. And the project before you this evening is a request to modify conditions of approval for Tract 31590. As you see in the exhibit on display there, the project location for the development of Tract 31590 is a vacant property located between Alessandro Boulevard and Brodea Avenue, and located approximately 600 feet east of Oliver Street. And as you might notice, Oliver on the south side is 650 feet away from the project site. It's an off-site intersection, and there is a segment of Oliver on the north side that's directly across the street from the project site. The intersection in question, as it relates to the condition of approval that we'll discuss, is actually located to the west of the project. And you can see, there should be a symbol on that exhibit indicating where the traffic signal in question would be located. Just as a way of information, the developer has begun construction on the site. They've worked with the city through our plan check process, and the project is currently being rough graded by the developer. So the application before you this evening is a request to modify conditions of approval that were approved by the Planning Commission for Tract 31590. The request would be a change to the conditions of approval by specifically deleting condition of approval number 110F, which, as you see in the slide that's on the screen now, the recommendation from staff to delete or remove that condition. This is a condition which requires the installation of a traffic signal at the intersection of Alessandro Boulevard and Oliver Street. A traffic warrant analysis was prepared by TJW Engineering Incorporated on April 20th of 2021 as part of this application. That traffic analysis was reviewed by our public works staff. Based on the analysis and the findings in the traffic warrant analysis, our public works department has no objection to the deletion of this condition of approval. This will permit the development of Tract 31590 without the requirement by either this developer or the possibility of a successor, the requirement to install the traffic signal at that intersection would be removed, and the developer would be relieved of that obligation. Leading up to this evening's hearing, all required noticing was satisfied for this project. Notice for the public hearing was published in the newspaper 10 days in advance, as well as the site being posted. And notice is being sent to property owners within 600 feet of the project site. As of this evening, I received 2 phone calls, one from a neighboring property owner who had questions about what was being presented this evening to the Planning Commission, with an explanation of what was being requested of the Planning Commission. He had no concerns or stated no concerns. The other was a phone call from a member of the Planning Commission who wanted to discuss what was being presented this evening. Staff's recommendation for this project would be the following: that the Planning Commission find and declare that the proposed modification to the conditions has been evaluated against the criteria set forth in the California Environmental Quality Act and CEQA guidelines sections 15161 and 15164, and that the preparation of a subsequent environmental document or addendum was not required, since the project has been determined to be minor and consistent with the findings of the original negative declaration prepared for tentative tract map 31590. Staff's recommendation also is that the Planning Commission approve the request for the modification of conditions subject to the attached conditions of approval as Exhibit A to Resolution 2021-29. That concludes my presentation. Myself, other city staff are available to answer questions. And also here this evening is Megan Wilden representing D.R. Horton, the applicant. Thank you.
Thank you, Jeff. Now, are there any commissioners' questions for staff? Commissioner Sims, do you have any questions? Commissioner DeJournette?
None.
And
I do,
Commissioner-
ma'am.
Okay,
And I was the commissioner that spoke to Jeff. Because when it comes to safety, that's one of my priorities while I'm up here. And taking the light out from a corner, didn't know what I was looking at until I actually went. I know the corner very well. I know the whole street. I mean, I know Moreno Valley. I know that corner very, very well. And what happens is during the morning, you have the California Road from Cactus to Alexandria. You have people that are going to work. You know, they do the California Road on that corner. So I thought of the light. You slow them down just a little bit. That's what I was telling Jeff. But when I went to see it myself, kind of you don't really need a light because there's not a lot of traffic there either at all. I mean, it's real light. So my question is, if we decide to vote yes to remove this 110F, can a future developer that's alongside of Olive and Alexandria, because there's an empty big lot there owned by Stevenson's, if that ever gets developed, can a proposal come in the future to put a light there?
Good evening, Chair and Commissioners. Michael Lloyd with Public Works. To answer your question very succinctly, the answer is yes. So it would be dependent upon the findings of the traffic studies for those vacant lots. I could offer you my professional opinion that most likely we would find a need for it, but based upon the analysis performed for this project, we did not identify that need.
Great, because I mean, I had to think about what you just said, you know, because the future project has nothing to do with this project. And I know by looking at Horn's developments way back, closer to Merino Beach than Olive. So I understand. I had to go by it. And I told Jeff, and I spoke to him very well. But when I went to look at it myself, I understood what the developer's asking and what the recommendation of the staff was. So I have no problem with it at all. I just needed to clarify that the future that we can able to put a light there if we put homes alongside of that street, you know, so it can slow down. Because there's a church on the corner, you know, so if we have a future development, I would like to see one day a light there just to slow down the California Road, really, because you stop at a light, but you don't stop at a California Road. So that's just, I like the light. Anyway, thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Bergaris. Any other questions? I have none. Mr. Sims.
So with the elimination of the traffic signal, I'm sure there's some monetary value to the developer to not have to install that. Is there, I guess my question would be is I don't do development, so I don't know what development impact fees the city collects for traffic mitigation, but is there I mean, based on what you said, Mr. Lloyd, that at some point in the future, there would potentially be a need when the trigger is tripped by additional development for a potential traffic signal at that location. I agree right now, a traffic signal would irritate me because that's sometimes I drive that and I would go, why am I stopping in the middle of nowhere? So, but absent that, but it would seem like there should be a proportionate fair share contribution for a future traffic improvement at that, if the absence of building one now.
If I may address the comment, this location, Alessandro at Oliver, is part of the current DIF Nexus study. So every development that comes into the city pays their fair share, if you will, into our impact fee program. So over time, we continue to collect fees for all the identified traffic signals within the city. My guess is, again, it's just a professional opinion, at some point in time, we're going to find a development that comes in, performs a traffic study. It will trip the warrants that require it, and that development would be required to install the traffic signal, and therefore they would be eligible for DIF credits. In this case, not to, beat this to death, but in this case, because the traffic signal would not be installed by this particular development, the developer would not be eligible for any type of credits. They would pay their full diff impact fees.
Yeah. Okay, and so is maybe I'm picking fly specks from Pepper, but at the end, is this, I don't think I was on the commission. I know I wasn't on a commission in 2005, but how many lots are going in on this project? See that in the staff
I
report?
believe it was 96, but maybe the applicant can provide us an update if that's an accurate number.
Well, it suffice to say, I mean, 96, okay. And these are what, like 8,000, 9,000 square foot lots? Okay, yeah. And so is the diff collected on a per lot basis?
That is correct.
Okay, thank you.
Okay.
Yes, sorry. These are 7,500 square foot lots. We have 96 homes going in there.
Thank you.
Okay.
Are there any, you might want to stand there because there might be more questions. Are there any other questions of staff? If not, are there any questions of the applicant?
Yeah, I was wondering at 96 lots, is there going to be regress on, it looks like it butts up against Alessandro. You have the west side on Oliver. And right there, I don't know what that is. I don't even know if there's a street there to the east. Just that little corner that comes out to Alessandro. Are they going to regress? I would imagine that they would be able to exit the property onto Alessandro. Are they exiting on Oliver or in the center there to Oliver?
They're actually exiting off of Landon Street. So Landon Road comes up from the south projects, the project from the south, and we'll continue that from Bordea up to Alessandro, and that will be their exit on Alessandro.
Okay, so they're not exiting directly from the site onto Alessandro.
That's correct. They are
Okay.
not. Yeah,
That's
we
cool.
have homes that actually back up to Alessandro, so there will be no access points.
That was my concern because I do drive that road. I think the only other street, well, between that project, you have light on Nason and then you have another one in Marino Beach, and the speeds can get up pretty high between Nason and Marino Beach. So I would imagine eventually there's going to have to be something there, especially as we develop more and get more traffic onto that Alessandro between Nason and Marino Beach. I've seen people reach 60, 70 miles an hour going down that street. Okay. Thank you.
Any other questions of the applicant? No, I guess not. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you.
At this time, we will now open public testimony. The clerk will call upon each person who has requested to speak. Each member of the public wishing to speak will have a maximum of 3 minutes to speak on this agenda item. Do we have any public comments?
No, we do not.
You do not. Okay. Then at that time, we will close the public hearing and we will move on to deliberations. Mr. Sims, would you like to say anything?
No, I agree that putting inference or putting improvements that have to be turned over to the city to maintain that aren't needed is just is drag on district revenues. So I think it's a wise move to not put it in until the traffic triggers the installation of it. And as long as the developers paid their fair share according to the diff, which as an anecdotal note, I hope that that's being updated on a regular routine basis so there could be reasonable and appropriate adjustments into diff fees so that the city stays current with that. I fully support the elimination.
Mr. Dejanay
No comments or questions.
and Mr. Brugueras?
It was mentioned tonight that between Nason and Marino Beach, it's a little speedway. I mean, he mentioned 60, 70. I've seen cars go faster than that. One day there's gonna, hopefully one day they'll put 2 police cars out there and they'll catch quite a few people dashing up and down that street. I mean, it's pretty fast. So that's why I always look for safety. So as long as we heard it tonight, one day there'll be a light that will cross over Alexandria completely from one end to the other to slow down that traffic. You know, you may be the only one out there at 3 o'clock in the morning waiting for that light to change. But you know what? You have a moment to relax and wait for it. So it'll save lives. You know, that's what I'm looking for, to save lives, especially there's a church there. So I'm glad they're here. I'm glad they're developing. 2005, 2020, 2021, 15 years. Thank you for coming to Moreno and for staying in Moreno Valley all these years. I'm grateful. So hopefully, because I looked up your story, the company story, and the commitment of excellence is their motto. And I seen you in Palm Bay, in Florida. That's where you're at also. So you're all over the place. So that's good. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Burgaris. And I have no questions, and I'm going to vote for this. So I think at this point, unless anyone has anything else to say, we could support a motion if someone would like to make one.
I could get him. Didn't know I was coming in for I get my magnifying glass here, my spectacles here, but I'm gonna try to shorten this up. I say I make a motion that the planning commission find and declare that the proposed modification to conditions PEN 20-0144 has been evaluated per the CEQA, and that there's been no significant differences, that the original CEQA guidelines are still applicable. And 2, that we approve the modifications to condition PEN 20-0144 subject to attached conditions of approval as Exhibit A to the resolution.
Okay. Did we encapsulate that enough?
And this is in reference to resolution number 2021-29.
Where does it say that?
It's
The resolution, sorry.
It was inadvertently left out in the
Okay.
recommendation.
It's on the resolution, but it wasn't in the staff report recommendation.
Oh,
Apologies.
So you want me to modify that? Is there just an approval of the resolution, or?
Oh, no, that's fine.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. May we have a second, please?
A second.
Okay. All right, let's do the vote. Is it working?
Yeah, it looks different. Oh, wait. You have to switch back.
Okay, it looks like it's approved 4-0. Congratulations. All right, let's have a staff wrap up, please.
Thank you, Madam Chair. The action taken by the Planning Commission tonight is an appealable action. Anybody interested in filing an appeal would need to do so within 10 days, directed to the Community Development Director in writing along with the applicable fee. And if we receive an appeal, we'll schedule for public hearing before the City Council. Thank you.
Thank you very much. All right, we're going to move on to item number 2, PEN 21-0085, a variance for retaining wall heights. May we have the staff report, please?
Madam Chair, the staff report will be presented by Associate Planner Julia Dakota.
Good evening, Commissioners. I'm Julia Dakota, and I'm the project planner for this project. The site is located on would be the southwest corner of Iris Avenue and Via del Lago in the specific plan 193. The zoning for the property is multifamily, and across the street and to the north and the south of the property is existing single-family residential with open space. The original golf course is to the west, and then there's open space to the east. So the application before you includes the addition of retaining walls, and I'm sorry, I'm not sure why the slide's not working, but you have it in your packet. And what the applicant needs to do is the site is an approved multifamily development project that was approved in 2012. The map has been recorded for 135 units. The property currently has a grade change of about 50 vertical feet in change in elevation from the southern portion of the property to the northern portion of the property. So with that, during the grading plan review, the applicant has realized that there's going to need to be some retaining walls within the site. The retaining walls will vary from the 6 feet that the city's code allows to 12.5 feet. And then in most places, it would start out at 6 feet, move up to 12, and then go down. The location is completely within the site. So the retaining walls are not on the perimeter of the site. Generally speaking, you won't be able to see them from the Iris Avenue or the Via del Lago. The highest one is 12.5 feet, and it's between where the pool area is, which is about not quite midpoint within the site. And that portion is about 19 feet higher than the building below it, the grade of the building below it. So that's the major point, is between those two areas where it'll be the 12.5 feet. And again, it's only a portion of that area. The other locations were on the plan. They had a couple of them on the Via del Lago side. In fact, I'll just kind of go back to this slide. So on the site plan there, where it shows the northern portion of the site where the houses are, and then that driveway area or dirt kind of track on the other side. About that area on the site will be some retaining walls still within the site, but they go from 6 feet, 7 feet, 8 feet, and then right back down to 6. And then on the far northern part of the site, downslope from the existing residential, you'll have some little bit back there in would be the south west corner. You'll have a little bit of 6, 8 to 6. So, but again, they're downslope, so it won't be an impact for the residential development on the northern part of the property or of the site. The project itself is not changing. It'll still be the 135 units that were approved, so there'll be no other changes to the original project other than the addition of the retaining walls within the site. The variance findings could be made from the Municipal Code 9.03.100, which requires findings if there's a regulation or a hardship that might stop the project, then the variance is an allowed process. The review process, staff reviewed the process. It went through land development for the grading and planning for the walls. And we agree that they're, because they're interior to the site and not to the exterior, they would be consistent with the project as originally designed. Notification was made to all property owners within 600 feet. The property site was posted, and the site was posted, or the project was noticed in the newspaper. To date, I've had 2 phone calls. One resident lives on the northern area and wanted the information on the existing project as well as what was coming before you this evening, and I wasn't able to talk to the other caller. At this time, staff recommends that the Planning Commission find and determine that the variance of Penn 21-0085 has been evaluated against the criteria set forth in the California Environmental Quality Act CEQA and CEQA guidelines, sections 15161 and 15164, and that the preparation of a subsequent negative declaration or an addendum is not required since the proposed changes to the project are minor and that the project is consistent with the findings of the original negative declaration for this project that was certified by the Planning Commission on August 23rd, 2012, and approve the variance request Pen 21-0085, subject to the attached conditions of approval as Exhibit A. This concludes my presentation, and the applicant is here as well to answer any questions for you. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Does anyone have any questions for staff? Mr. Sims, I'd like always to look over there first.
Well, this is one of those on a 50-foot grade elevation where you're trying to pack 10 pounds of house on a 5-pound lot. This is what happens. But we try to absorb the grade differential. But anyhow, the question is my question would be is on the down slopes, like especially these aren't pre-existing. I assume these are 2-to-1 slopes. They couldn't have steepened it up to 1.5 to 1 or something like that to absorb some of the height quicker.
I think I would defer to Clement. I think that they've done several grading plan reviews, and this was how we had to do it. But I'll defer to Clement to see if he.
Good evening. This is Clement Jimenez with the Land Development Division. The slopes are 2-to-1, and that is per the city's standard, 2-to-1. We typically don't allow anything steeper than that, only because it's they'd have to be structurally engineered, the slopes. But 2-to-1 is your typical steepest slope that we would want or prefer, and that the standard allows.
Just when you're making exceptions, variances for wall heights, I mean, those have to be structurally designed anyhow too. So I mean, but anyhow, I mean, I guess I don't. If that's what has to be done, it has to be done. So
Commissioner DeJarnay,
No comments, no questions.
Commissioner Bergeris.
When someone driving or actually walking on, when someone's walking on Iris, looking into the property, you, like was mentioned, the 12-foot wall is not going to be actually seen from the front of that street, right? It's not going to be a wall
Correct.
that, it's going to block the view of the landscaping all the way in.
Correct. There'll be perimeter landscaping. There's already landscaping on the site because it was put in earlier on. So there is currently a meandering sidewalk with landscaping from the right-of-way, in the city right-of-way. The development will also have some front landscaping there. And then as you get into the project, there'll be the actual building. So the building, even though the grade of the building is the very first building to the left of the entrance is 19 feet below the other area, the pool area, with the building that's there will be taller than that. So you won't see a massive wall in the front, if that's, I think that's what you're asking. You won't see a massive wall in the front.
Great, because it is Moreno Valley's primary entrance to the lake. Okay. You're building 135 condominiums. That's wonderful for that area that's been like that forever. I thought there would be more houses, but you picked the right development, condominiums, that will go along with the houses that are on top, and then all the raw land on your left-hand side for hiking, whatever it may be, and then you got the lake going in. So I'll save the rest for my deliberation, but it's wonderful to see that there. I just make sure that we don't block that major corner, because it's been like that for years, but you pick the right development to go in there and keep it low enough so you can see all the way across also the houses on top of the hill. And that's important. And they can see down. I mean, everybody gets view. That's important. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, I have no questions. If there are no further questions, would the applicant like to address us or speak?
Good evening. My name is Elizabeth Morales, and I'm here representing Via Del Lago LLC and the developer of this project. And just want to thank you for your time and consideration. And we're really excited to be getting started, hopefully in the next few months, on getting this project graded and getting some beautiful, more beautiful homes here in Moreno Valley. That's it.
Does anyone have any questions of the applicant?
I do, because I didn't see this in the beginning. Are they gonna be small, like units, like, and then apartments or condominiums and each? How many condominiums per unit?
I believe it's, oh my gosh, I should know this by heart, but I don't. It's 15 buildings in total. 13 buildings are with the condos, so 135 total.
You
And
have
they're
an idea
two-story.
what size the condominiums?
Square footage, I
The-
believe it's 1,300 to about 3,000 square feet.
That's pretty big.
Yeah.
Wow.
They're 1 bedroom, 1 bath to 3 bedroom, 2 bath,
Great.
all with garages and
Yeah, because we didn't get to see a lot of it, just like the 2005, we weren't here yet.
Yeah.
So, but that's
Project-
great. Again, I'll save it for later. Thank you so much.
thank you.
Thank you very much. At this time, we're now going to open public testimony. The clerk will call upon each person who has requested to speak. Each member of the public wishing to speak will have a maximum of 3 minutes on this agenda item. Do we have any public comments?
No, we do not.
We don't. Then at this point, I will close the public hearing and we will move on to deliberations. Mr. Bergaris, would you like to start?
Thank you, ma'am. I went by there yesterday because I had to go to Home Depot up in Paris. So, I live real close. Marina Beach turns into Iris, and there's the sign. I know that corner so well from my days of campaigning, putting signs all over the place up there. I know it very well. But I also visualize now when I went there yesterday and got out of my truck and I stood on the corner to look at those 135 condominiums there. I thought about all the things that are being built around it, the hospital, Kaiser, the golf course, the future coming of the Olympics at Paris Lake, things like that. How we're going to hopefully have professional doctors and nurses that work nearby that don't want to buy a home but prefer having a condominium. And when you're talking about 1,300 square feet, just that alone is big. Because my sister lives in Florida and they live in a 900. So we're talking 13 to 3,000 square foot. I mean, don't have to cut grass, don't have to do a lot of things in a 3,000 square foot lot. I mean, apartment or condominium. So I look forward to that being built and enhancing that corner of Moreno Valley, because it's a beautiful drive when those get on there from Paris and Iris all the way across to Moreno Beach, all the way to Alexandria, and all the way to the 60 freeway. It's a beautiful drive. A lot of people like to drive it. They drive it pretty fast. They get caught. But again, that's what I like about lights. They slow everybody down. Lights are good. So I look forward to that project coming to life. If it gets approved tonight with the wall, it's only for safety, and that's what it's all about. Sometimes we have to adjust things to make things right. So thank you so much.
Thank you, Commissioner Bergaris. Commissioner DeJournette?
No comments, questions.
Okay, and Commissioner Sims?
As a civil engineer, this is better living through mass grading and walls. So I'm for it.
Okay, thank you. And I also am for it. So I think we don't need to deliberate any longer and we would accept another motion. Who would like to make the motion? Would you like to do that, Mr. DeJournette?
I'd like to make a motion that the Planning Commission approve Resolution 2021-22 and thereby find that the determinations of the variance PEN -0085 has been evaluated against the criteria for CEQA under sections 15161 and 15164. Is there another one there? And approve the variance of PEN 210085 and the subsequent attachments.
Okay. Okay, all right. May we have a second, please?
Second.
All right, Mr. Bruguera seconds. We'll call for the vote. And the motion passes 4-0. Okay, congratulations. May we have the staff wrap up, please?
Thank you, Madam Chair. This action is also an appealable action. Any interested party would need to file an appeal within 10 days directed towards the Community Development Director in writing with the appropriate fee. If we receive an appeal, we will place this item on the council agenda for hearing. That concludes the wrap up. Thank you.
Thank you. The next agenda item is other commission business. At this time, we have no items. The next item is staff comments. Do we have any staff comments?
No staff comments from me, Mr. Q.
The next is planning commissioner comments. Do we have any commissioner comments at this time?
I know on a planning commission and at the council level, we work very hard at approving projects to try to attract a nice quality of life. And I would hope that there's great effort at all levels of the staff that are elected to observe and try to do what we can to stop the homeless encroachment all along the 60 freeway. It's a blight on our city, and it's not inviting, and it seems counterproductive to the good things we try to do. General plan, we try to do zoning ordinances, we try to do planning commission things, and we allow that activity to go seems somewhat unchecked. So it's my 2 cents.
Anyone else have any comments? Nothing? Mr. Bracaris?
I agree with Mr. Sims. Truly, it's gone. It's become horrible how they have taken advantage of Moreno Valley. That's what's happened. I know they have rights. God, I know. But this right infringes our rights as residents of the city of Moreno Valley also. We have rights to live, like Mr. Sims said, a quality of life. You know, they come and they leave. It's not that they sleep in the street, it's what they leave behind. And if you look at the freeway from Frederick heading towards Paris, on that right-hand side, it's ugly. Really, really ugly. And it's true. And we work very hard to make the inside of the city look so well. But the outside kills it all. And that's what turns off people when they look to live in our city. I wish we could find a solution that we can stop that. And I know that building another wall, a fence around that area from blocking them from going in there, I wish we can do that because it's hurting our city. And I mean, it's only from Frederick to Paris. That strip alone hurts the entire city. I wish we could change it somehow. Thanks.
If I could just mention, the area that you're talking about does require coordination with state agencies. It's not simply up to our staff who we think works pretty hard to try to keep things looking the way you'd like to see them, but we'll take the area into account again and see what we can do with that.
I'm certainly not doing a point the finger at anybody. I certainly get it, but a level of if you tolerate things, this is one of those. It has to be constantly addressed. Otherwise, and people just need to remember how they vote. And if you don't like it, this goes not here all the way up to the state level. You allow people to make rules that make it easy for this. This is what you get.
Okay, thank you.
I have one more question. Can somehow coordinating with the state, can we put retaining wall up against removing the fence? Because see, they cut the wires and they crawl through the hole to get into that area. So if we put a retaining wall up against that side all the way across, can that maybe help for them getting on? Because I know they go through the holes of the fence that we have up against the freeway.
I don't know if the staff can answer that because I think it's beyond their purview. I'm just going to say, to me that it's a deeper issue than that, and it's in all our surrounding communities. You'll find it in Riverside. It's terrible. The issue is how do we address the needs of the people that are out on the streets? If you address the needs, you find housing for them, you work in that social services attitude, eventually you will probably find a solution. But the city staff can't address this. It's not in their purview. So I don't want them to feel that they have to go home and solve the homeless issue for the entire region.
No, that's true.
Ma'am.
No, no. But there are things that the city can do. The city could increase our code enforcement, because the word is out that here in Moreno Valley, it's very easy to stand in the corner and ask for money. It's very easy to panhandle, that sort of thing, and because our code enforcement has dropped. To set up shop and start selling things on the corners and stuff like that. And so the word is out that this is the place to come, that you can make some free money in Moreno Valley. So we're getting an increased population of homeless people. So we can do things internally. Where they say, well, I'm not making any money in Moreno Valley, so I'm going to move on to the next city. So there are things we can do internally.
Okay. Alrighty. If there are no other comments, why don't we adjourn this meeting at 7:45 to our next regular meeting of July 22nd. Thank you very much.